for the presentation, I just hunted it down and I said I should wear it.
That's pretty amazing. I don't remember where I kept my T-shirt from IDC days.
No, this is not the IDC Days T-shirt. This is last year for the 50th.
Got it.
That time we had bought it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should start. Good morning, good evening, from whichever part of the world you are in. On behalf of the IDC Alumni Talk Group, I invite Atul Rajwade for this excellent session that he's going to cover on something very different. I think after quite a long time, we are into talk number 23, that we are actually going into experiencing something physical. I mean, it's been quite a while. Most of it has been virtual, and this is very interesting to really go back and touch something. We're going to really see something which is physical in nature. I'm very excited about it. For all you know, I mean, looks like most of you are so familiar with Atul, and so I don't think I need to read out his profile. I've already shared in the group. He's an architect and an industrial designer. What captured Atul so well was one of the comments made by one of his batchmates, I think Bhushan Patil, calls him Mr. Bridge and Canopy Man of India. That sums it all. So that's the kind of reputation that Atul has earned himself. And so nice to hear that from somebody who has probably very closely watched you very, very closely. Today, Atul is going to talk about raising India's largest tricolour flag that he did an installation for the Indian Navy at Colaba. I'm sure that he talks about some specific dimension, which is 35,000 square feet. So I was just imagining if I were to relate to a 1,500 square feet flat, that I can imagine as what the size is, and you're talking about 30-35 times of that. Gives you, I mean, a kind of scale that's very unimaginable, and that's why he rightly calls it the experience of stretching a structure beyond imagination. So we'll all learn from his experience what went behind putting a structure of such a huge dimension, and I know that he has also been into construction of bridges. He has done some very reputed work for the Maharashtra State Road Transport Corporation. He has been involved in building some of those bridges in the western coast, and also the one that he is talking about in the Ganges at Rishikesh. So I'm sure he is a person with extraordinary experiences, and someone who has handled very complex projects. And like each one of you, I'm very excited to listen to him. And without taking too much time of his, I hand over the session to Atul. And Atul, it's all yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ravi, and thank you, Nimesh, for arranging all these things, and thank you, Atwankar sir, for recommending.
Yes.
And so I will start right away. The entire screen. Something went wrong.
It just came in and went.
Yeah, just a minute. Shit. Yes. Okay. So this is raising the Indian flag. I will start with. So when this particular project was awarded to me, rather it was, I never dreamt of such kind of a project will ever come to me, or such kind of project will ever exist. And suddenly on 18th, and why I'm talking about these dates, because on 18th, before 18th November, 18th October, I was not aware that such kind of thing is going to I'm going to land into making all this kind of stuff, this structure. On just a minute. Can we just uh, turn off the notifications or something? Or what?
Yeah, it's a little difficult. You may have to live with it. It'll stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So this is the world's largest flag and was displayed by Western Naval Command for the Navy Day in 2021 to celebrate the 50 years of Indian Navy's successful attack on Karachi during 1971 Indo-Pak War. And actually, it was initiative of General Bipin Rawat, late General Bipin Rawat, that he decided to display this flag designed by Khadi Gram Udyog. And when these people they went to him, he said that all my defense arms will display the flag for the respective days, uh, and hence, and it started with the display of this flag on 2nd of October at Leh. So this whole particular activity actually started on 2nd of October, and since 2nd of October there was a directive to all these different arms that you have to show their flags. So similarly, this particular directive reached Indian Navy, and initially it was decided that they will display it in Visakhapatnam. But as you know, during November, December, there is a lot of heavy winds. So they actually said it's not possible to show it in Visakhapatnam. So the whole onus fell on the Western Naval Command. And Western Naval Command in Mumbai, they hardly have any place to display such kind of a thing. But then for some reason, they came up with this idea that they will show it at Colaba. And for that, they found out a place which was a strip of land, which was a road actually, which was called Admiral Walk, and which measured 8 meters wide, and it was around 200 meters in length. And so this flag, which was measuring to 25 feet by 150 feet, was supposed to be and it weighed around 1000 kgs. If you actually take into consideration 1000 kgs as such is not a big weight, but when this particular surface area starts catching the wind at 51 meters height, that is where the whole engineering kicks in. That is, we have to calculate the forces of around 100 kgs per square meter. So when it is say 35,000, so 35,000 square, 3,500 square meters. So we are looking at 35 tons of weight, which was to be balanced out. So earlier, these Indian Navy people, they said that they want to display this 51 meters so that it will be towering even above the Taj. But when I actually so they were actually going with this solution that they will display this flag vertically. They will hold it with two cranes and then they will just display the flag for those 4 days. But actually, when the time came and when they started actually putting everything on paper, they realized that it's not the self weight of the flag such that the flag will tear itself when it was tried to be held in position with the help of cranes. There were 8 such solutions tried before this particular problem landed in my lap. So Indian Navy had already lost 20 days before they could find me, and I was able to take on this particular project. So effectively, 18th October, I got this project, and we were asked to finish everything before end of November. So we hardly had less than 1.5 months. Uh, the challenges were such that Indian Navy, in order to keep the cost of the structure and the project low, they said that we should try to use maximum material which was in their inventory, which was at Ghatkopar. So they provided me with the list of material, which was again not my choice of material. They had these angles and some assorted material. So it was like a mechano which we had to, knowing all the structures, we had to start building it and then try to get to the solution. Also building, as it was just 1.5 month, having a foundation was out of question. So this whole structure which we had designed that day and which was in place was without any foundation. So frankly speaking, In my career of last 20 years, this is the first time I've designed a building without any foundation. Also, it was constructed on a very small road, which was just 8 meters wide. And again, there was another first in my case of designing activity. I had to take into consideration the high tide line. Generally, we take into consideration the high flood lines, 100 years high flood lines. And we are rest assured that we will never have to see such kind of water levels touching our structures or the bridges. But here, this was a reality that the structure what I had to design was supposed to be just a meter above the high flood line for those 8 days. The another fifth factor was coastal winds. Even though it was December, in December the winds were such that it hardly touches 10 knots. That was as per the meteorological department prediction, that maximum winds what Mumbai faces is 10 knots. So I said, okay, I will design it. I will take another 5 knots extra and design the whole thing for 15 knots. And so 15 knots at 51 meters is what I started designing. Also, the weight and cost limitations of this structure were there, as it was only a temporary structure. And the last challenge was we had lost 20 precious days in designing. So with all these kind of handicaps, we started designing this particular structure. And then we arrived at a solution in a step manner. Here also the Indian Navy officials, they also helped us quite a lot by boosting our morale that, okay, we will give you a 200-ton crane, 200-ton lifting capacity crane with 65 tons of boom length, 80 meters of boom length. So you can have lot of weight carrying capacity and everything. So I said, so slowly with small steps, we were able to inch forward. And mind you, all this particular solution, what we achieved was less than 20 days. And then there were certain twists, which I will tell you later as we progress. So the design solution was improvised as per the site conditions, equipment constraints, and the climatic constraints. Why climatic constraints? That also I will tell you what happened later on. So we started this project on 18th November, and in 3 days we were able to give the first basic analysis, which Indian Navy flatly refused. And this was the first solution what we thought that, okay, we try to keep the fabrication as straight as possible. And I said that if I try to give a little bit deflection to the system, then probably we can deflect the wind a little bit, and then our force calculations was reduced. But still, this kind of tonnage was quite a lot. And then we decided that on this 8 meters road, we decided to extend it 5 meters beyond the boundary line of Indian Navy and break certain walls. That is what I had envisaged. And then I made this particular triangle with, can you see the cursor? So on this particular face, we decided to put a 51 meters, 50 meters flag. Then later on, I said, okay, that it was getting a little too heavy, and then I decided to give a little bit more slope so as to reduce the and deflect the wind even further, and take certain amount of load behind. Using this kind of structural system, which all was making, this was developed taking into consideration the material which was available. But again, the costs were going out of the budget, out of the budgeted cost. So finally, at this 2.2 solution, and this was around October 25th, we said that it's not possible and we are just leaving. So we actually said, okay, it's not possible. And Commodore Kotra, he said, like, think a little more if it is possible. And at that time, I asked luckily the contractor who had decided to plunge into this particular challenge was also with me. And I asked Mr. Kulkarni that, okay, can you and will you be able to give tensioning? Because generally I've done tension structures, but I've never done a tension structure which was spanning such a big length. So he gave me sufficient confidence that, okay, wherever you say, I will be able to give tension. You just don't worry. You just go ahead and design. So finally, with this kind of confidence from the contractor, I came up with this particular solution. So in this particular solution, there were these 4 units which were there and which were placed at 23 meters center to center, and there was one top tray and there was one bottom tray. So these trays had a very specific function where the flag will be unrolled with the help of the big crane, which will keep this flag at 25 meters height, and then there will be this sea cadets who will be placed at 3 meters center to center. 22 cadets will slowly lower the flag. So this was our fallacy, or this is what we had imagined how the whole structure will happen. And similarly, there is another set of tray which was below, which was just above the flood line, where another 20 cadets will stand and they will secure the flag below. So this is how we had actually envisaged the whole thing. So this is the 8 meters road. From the 8 meters road, we actually flared up the structure. This was a truss, which was boat-shaped truss, which was made from the structural material which was given by Indian Navy. If I had to design it, I would have gone for a box, a square hollow section, but we went for a back-to-back angle section, which was available. So we flared the structure, we supported it at one-third distances, and this is how we were able to. And then I also convinced the Indian Navy people that just don't tell me to put this flag at 51 meters straight, rather than we can put it at an angle of 30 degrees. This will reduce the weight at the reduce the angle and the force of the wind, and it was also visible from Gateway of India. So we actually carried out all the visual simulation test. Anyway, I will just go through the assembly sequence what we had envisaged earlier. So this is how the supports will be assembled. Then this one unit was secured. Then the second unit will be secured. The top truss will be put in place. The tray will be put in place. Then it will be secured with cable ropes behind to balance out the weight. And this is how the whole assembly sequence will actually happen. So this is what we have thought, and this is a small video of the structural system what we had envisaged. And why I'm saying that we had envisaged, there is a twist to the whole thing. When this whole activity, when we started working on this activity, mind you, this is just 8 meters wide strip. We are used to working in workshops where we make these pre-engineered building sections, and here, in order to save time, we said that we move the workshop to the site itself, and then it was just hardly a small strip. So this was the solution. But then what happened was, somewhere down the line, the speed of construction and everything, looking at that, we decided that from 4, and this happened on 20th November, by the way, we realized that the contractor was going at a little slow pace and it would have been difficult. It was possible, but it would have been very tense situation. So we decided to go for this really daring solution where we would support the whole structure only on 2 supports, which was spanned with the help of cables. And we decided to make a cable-led structure, and we spanned the whole truss, the whole flag, only on these 2 supports at end, supported by 18 mm cables. Again, Indian Navy was kind enough to give these cables, and now the whole point was that these cables were tied down with the help of counterweights, and you can see these counterweights here. So these were all the counterweights, 3.5 tons to 5 ton counterweights, with which the whole structural system was stabilized. And on the reverse, on the sea side, we were able to put rock anchors. So we put all the rock anchors on the wave breakers which were there. So this is how the final scheme was decided. I'm just providing you with the list, that this was the kind of list which was given to us, that from Ghatkopar you will get so and so, from Shivri you will get this kind of cloth and all that stuff. So we using 100 angle, we decided to go for the main truss system, and with 50-50 angles we would decide to go for the columns. The rest of the numbers were very less. So this was the main members what we used. Another important thing I would like to show you is the contract document what we made. And probably you will say, why are you showing this contract document? And but the rules what we made in this contract document were very funny. That here the flag will be designed for a maximum wind condition of 15 knots, whereas if you have to design any structure in Mumbai which is so tall, in Mumbai we have to follow the IS code, IS wind code, which doesn't allow you. So I had to bypass the IS code to in order to get this structure in place and in that particular cost. Also, I said, I clearly mentioned in that, for if any reason wind exceeds 15 knots, Indian Navy indemnifies third wave designer and the contractor from all the consequences. I had never thought that this clause number 2 will become of so much importance later on. But then I said, like, I thank my lucky stars. Indian Navy will continuously monitor the wind, and this is what I had put in the in the contract document. And then even Indian Navy officials were saying like he's too technical about making the contract document. I said, but they said okay, anyway he wants it. Let him put it in the contract. Also, Indian Navy, this particular whole thing was it was so short of time that no permissions were taken from BMC, and Indian Navy had to manage all these things. Okay, so as you see here, this is the small strip of land, the rectangular which is there, onto which this flag was supposed to flare out 25 meters on either side, so that it will be seen from the and this is a view from Gateway of India, how the site was looking from Gateway of India. Now the site, as I told you, it was just a 8 meters narrow strip, and I will just show you a small clipping at what kind of problems we faced. So available strip for working was only 3.5 meters by 300 meters, and this was really tough for the contractors to actually work on such a small restricted site with 3.5 meters clear for the crane movement. And you see, this is a 50 meters truss. When we do all these things on computer, we never, okay, we know it is 50 meters, but when we actually start seeing it at such a scale, it's really scary. So this is how using the same material what we had, we developed this thing. We put 50 workers, and we were really pushing them to the limits. So this is just one truss getting over. The second truss, then I will just forward the video a little bit ahead. Then once this is done, so this 2 trusses were getting manufactured. Then there was this cutting line where people were actually doing all the preparing all the material. This was the cutting shop which we had put. So all the plates were getting manufactured in this area, plates and everything. So this is how our workshop was. Normally, our workshops are places where there is a EOT, electronically operated traveling crane. But here we had no luxury of putting a EOT. We had to do all this lifting with just cranes around. So we started with our conventional puja on site, and then this is how you see the work in progress. So these are the photographs of work in progress, and how, and then these big mammoths which they came into picture. So this is that 200 tons crane which simply lifts it, and it's how the members were prepared, and they were put in place. The work was going on 24 hours. Like many a times we actually slept at 3 o'clock in the morning. We used to go to the hotel behind the Taj and then again come back at 9 o'clock. So this was the kind of work which was happening continuously, and there were many challenges which were there. The metallurgy of the material which they had provided was not actually the one which we had thought about. So there was certain amount of brittle things in the steel, so which we had to do some kind of design changes. This is how the whole thing was put in place. Then I will just show how, if you see this crane, it was occupying more than half the area of the road, and it had to have all these things cleared out. So it used to eat into our fabrication area also. And then this is how the members were lifted and put in place. I'm just going a little fast because we have got very less time. This is how the cranes were put in place. There was another crane which was holding. Then you see the small dots. These are the people, our fabricators, brave people. They used to climb all these things. They used to bolt it with 10 mm 30 dia bolts. See this particular member. It was hanging freely before it was secured uh, rock anchors behind. And then because of the speed, you see the crane and how the trusses were put in place. This is how the crane lifted, the two cranes lifted this 50 meters truss, and it was like a orchestrated move, a dance of these two booms, which slowly they actually placed this 48 meters truss in position. You can right now in the picture you can see that this looks like a very stable system, but I will just show you another video where you will see how this truss, when we tried to lift it, it was moving like a snake, and it was scary. It was in our modeling, which we knew that this is going to deflect 1.5 meters, but then when we actually started lifting this thing, we realized, oh my god, so whether our calculations are right. So the view, it made us doubt ourselves. I will just show you, and it was really scary. So lifting a 50 meters truss, which was absolutely coming to life. There I had to put a brave face. Oh, I do it every day. But then this was not the case. This is the first time I'm seeing 50 meters planar truss moving. Uh, Even the naval officers, everybody of us was really like tense at that time. Anyway, so again, how people went climbing onto this particular to secure the angle of the truss. And mind you, this particular structure was simply placed on the road with couple of bolts. There was no foundation. Simply the road was the foundation. And now this is how the truss was looking after we assembled the first truss. The system was looking when we assembled the first truss. This was a big relief to us. Okay, our calculations, theory and practice are in one line. This is how the structure started looking after that. And then you can see we had attached lots of cables, and you see here these cables were attached to with to the rock anchors with the help of grouts. This is how the structure was aligned, so that this particular portion was just above 1 meter above the high tide line. And then after that, what we decided that, as I told you, we decided to span it with 18 mm cables. And then for below the 18 mm cables, we decided to go for this backing cloth. So this backing cloth will actually give a smooth sliding surface for the flag to roll onto this surface, onto this angular plane. So we put all this backing tarpaulin for the flag structure, and then this unseasonal deluge and the second clause came into the picture, where the if you see this, the wind had already reached 15 knots, and I was scared, frankly, and I have got no inhibitions of telling whatever it is. I was scared. But I was at the same time indemnified because of the second clause which was put in place. And that night, the wind went up to 24 knots, which was measured. So it was like a live testing for my structure, which was put in place. In computer, in fact, in reality, it behaved even better than the computer simulation what we had carried out. So this was actually unseasonal deluge, rains which flooded Mumbai, and that too in November. November rain. My goodness, that was horrible. So I will show you. It was bad. It was bad. So actually, this tarpaulin, which was a backing cloth, it started. Uh, 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 it developed. It started forming water puddles at that height, and 5 ton water tanks were formed, and the water was getting accumulated, and it was tracing my the water was getting accumulated in the tarpaulin, and it was tracing my structure, which was not designed for this. And after that, on 30th, this was the thing, and it was horrible. That, my goodness, what are we into this whole total backing thing? And 30th November was this date, and the flag was supposed to be in place, ready for display on 3rd of December. And this is what it was. It was crazy. So, but then anyway, the admirals were kind enough to say, okay, let's give it a last best shot. Let's see. And luckily, the weather was supposed to be good in the next couple of days. But you see how close the high tide was. So we had designed this thing. So all the parameters which we had designed were tested for that. So this is the walkway, and this is how the high tide actually reached that point. In the meantime, we fixed these walkways below on the wave breakers. This is how the joint base plate joinery of the support which is there. So we just slided this whole thing. This whole structure, normally we would have gone and done profile cutting, but then we actually cut it with hands and put it in place. This is how the structure is looking when it was supporting the flag. Now, what we did was, so instead of backing cloth, we decided to go for a fishing net, because as Kohivada is close by, Bapat sir, nylon. So we decided to go for nylon, which is a strong surface, and then instead of the backing cloth, we use this nylon net as the backing cloth. And this is how the whole thing was looking. These are the counterweights. So we in Bombay Dockyard, they carry out these ship tilting exercises. So they use this counterweights. So for that span, we actually brought in all the counterweights which were there. So 195 tons of counterweights were procured from the Bombay Dockyard. And then when we fell short of this counterweights, I actually told them that, okay, get anything heavy. So they used to get anything heavy. Then we used to do quick calculations. Okay, this is 14 tons. Then we developed device systems of actually anchoring that thing. Finally, when everything was really over, we even got the ship anchors. Okay, this way 2,800, put it there. This is a good counterweight. Now this is the flag. This flag is looking like an anaconda. And it was twisted. So the Indian Navy cadets, they were brought in. They made this kind of in combined group. They carried the flag. This is the flag kept in one of the control panel rooms. And then this whole structure was secured. The backing net was put in place, and it was really tough. It was tough as in, and then my fabricators. You see this person sitting. This is sitting calmly at a height of around 15 meters, and then they were put in place to secure the flag when it was lifted in place. And also see this person is at a height of 25 meters, and you see ropes which are attached to him. So these ropes were attached to him, and he was able to put these ropes through the pulley which was put at the top, and then we actually physically lifted the flag. So you see the cadets out here, they were put in place. They tied the flag to the ropes which we had put across, and then Commodore Sadana, Commodore, officer of a rank of a brigadier, like a comparable rank of a brigadier, he personally took charge of lifting the flag. as in guiding his people. So in one hand his Motorola, and there were four teams. In all, six teams were made: right hand side, left hand side, and in the center. And then this is how the flag was lifted by the. So this was the left hand side team. Sorry. This was the team which was placed on the roof behind, and slowly but steadily they started lifting the flag. And so the commodore used to give a halt. So the flag used to be lifted from the sides. Then it was the two sides were told to stop. Then it was again pulled from the center. Then they were told to stop, and this was happening with a coordinated effort on the Motorola walkie-talkies. So this is how slowly the flag was lifting and getting in position. It was real. I cannot explain what kind of feeling I had when this thing was actually happening. And at that time, when I saw this Ashok Chakra started coming in place, it was one of the most I don't know. I'm lost for words. That kind of feeling. Oh my God! What? So here the rear admiral was really happy now. His job. So finally, it was on his owners that all this activity was happening. So he was also pretty relieved. All of us were relieved that the flag is finally. This is 3rd of December, and 4th of December was the Navy Day. So we could do it, and we did it successfully that day on the Navy Day, and we were able to hoist this flag. So this is how this flag was looking in place. It was actually floating in mid-air, with a lot of drama of wind and waves and everything. So live tasting simulation by God, I will say. This is with respect to the Gateway of India. Oh my God. Just a minute. This is how it was looking at night. They had put these beams on the flag, so they were put in place till 12 o'clock at night for 8 days. This is how the flag was looking from below. You see the scale here. You can see how the people are seen with the help of in comparison to this. This is the actual scale what is seen with Gateway of India in the foreground. It was one incredible experience. It was a surreal experience. This is one of the best selfies I have ever taken. This is myself and my wife Sonali. This is selfie worth taking. Otherwise, I don't take selfies. This is with Commodore Sadhana, he had taken few decisions which helped us in getting the flag in position. This is our team. He is the contractor, Appa Kulkarni. He said that, Sahib, तुम्ही टेन्शनिंग करायला सांगा, मी त्याचं टेन्शन देतो. So he and his team, normally he does all the fabrication for the bridges. So his people are used to working at heights. But again, working at heights and tensioning of cables are two different things altogether. Because when the cable starts getting into that tension mode, it's a totally different kind of experience, and it's really scary if you're doing it for the first time. We had read everything about it, but we actually practically did it. This is our team of fabricators. This is just one team. There's the other team, and this is the third wave design. Myself, Prathamesh, then Sanyukta, Rugvedi, Mihir, Madhavi, and Malika, my daughter. She also worked on this particular project. Then structural weighting was done by Dynamic Structural Solutions, Yogesh Pisar, Gautam Kore, and Dr. Alka Pisar. All these people are IITians but IIT Roorkee, of course. Dr. Alka Pisar is from IIT Bombay. She did then contractors, Mr. Sanjay Adgaonkar and Mr. Kulkarni, and Indian Navy Commodore Sadhana, Commodore Kotra, Commander Senthil, Lieutenant Commander Dhankar, Commander Mishra, and many other people. So, yeah, Jai Hind. Thank you.
Jai Hind.
Yeah, I will just show the. Can you see this model?
Yeah.
Yes. We
Yeah,
want to.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just want to show you the model.
Just show.
Here we developed this kind of a joint through the material which was available to us, where we were able. So this was called rope sliding mechanism. So this was again prepared with the material which was available on site, and we were able to. By designing this, we were able to save almost 30 lakh rupees. 3 lakh rupees by developing this kind of sliding mechanism, because we could replace it with use them without the police.
What's the total project cost, Atul?
It was around 1.75, and the flag was around 25 lakhs. Yeah, so I'm open to
Which material you have used for this flag?
flag. It's a Khadi flag. It's actually a simple Khadi flag, the Khadi Gram Udyog.
Okay.
And that was not my scope of design. It was designed and given to us.
Okay. Nice. Good presentation.
Atul, before we start the questions, first of all, I think you deserve a big round of. It's
thank you.
Simply amazing. It's I'm sure beyond anything, it would have made you feel so proud.
We see from the Bapak smiling, Atul.
You're also proud.
No, now I am smiling, but I was scared. I was scared. After the rains, it was crazy.
Okay, let me open the forum for questions. You could just, whoever wants to start off.
I suppose I have finished. I have finished it in time. The presentation finished it in time, right?
Very much.
For time. I was actually yes, sir.
Yes, Atmankar sir, please go ahead.
I have no questions. You cannot question such a project, except that I do want to compliment you for taking such a daring job, and that's also in such a short time. It is really adventurous to take such project. So I do compliment you for all, the kind of work that you've done. Wonderful job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Again here, Atul, Jivak here, again, similar, no question as such, but really amazing to see back journey of any project. So thanks for going through the details of it. I think the videos make it really amazing to see what really happens on there. On the job improvising, always be open for, I would say, challenges and actually doing it and getting the people to see it. So congratulations, really amazing.
Thank you. But this all happened, see, we as designers, we dream something, but if people are there to work with you on your dream, then this thing happens. Indian Navy was working the way we were telling them to do. The kind of machinery they had mobilized, even they were determined that our late General Rawat, he had given them the mandate, the flag will be in place. They were putting how we put the ropes in place. They put the harpoon guns on the walkway below, and then we attached the ropes to the harpoon guns, and then we fired it over the structure to pull the ropes on the other side of the building. So this kind of crazy things were happening, which wouldn't have happened in the normal condition in a conventional civilian project.
I think that really makes sense. Are there any videos of harpoon gun shooting, or that's not the public disclosure? We have videos of the harpoon gun shooting.
If I have put that video, Ravi had said you have to put everything in 45 minutes. You see the way I was running through the presentation.
Yeah, Atul, again, congratulations. It's wonderful. In fact, we see the skill of your, the fabricators who are, used to working with you on bridges. So that's also coming into light, because, you need that very good coordination between all the teams, to build such a structure in such a short time. And I think again your strength of simulation and confidence also is extremely critical in such projects. In fact, very
No,
nice.
Yes.
Atul, when you were presenting, I thought you were talking of a war that you actually fought.
Actually, sir, it was, sir, it was. It was actually.
Remarkable job, Atul.
Thank you, sir.
We are proud of you, and that using fishing net is a fantastic, fabulous idea, connecting unconnected.
Our sir,
Yes.
तुम्ही शिकवलेलं
I think the
वापरतोय.
flag in a fishing net.
Bapa doesn't love for plastics.
One thing, Atul, what is the current this thing? How are they kind of marketing to the people? I mean, how do people come to know? Are they doing something? I mean, is it being talked about
What?
in press and
Huh? Marketing.
is this project being talked about in press, and is there a Navy taking it up?
Yeah, there was. Actually, when this was up, that time there was fantastic coverage to the whole project.
Okay.
For those 8 days, it was like, and a couple of newspapers they actually made, but well, it was supposed to be only. Many people told me that you have done so much, you have taken so much efforts. Why are you getting? By the way, now the structure is not there. It has been dismantled.
Okay.
It was supposed to be there for. And again, can you imagine this big structure without any foundation?
Correct.
We knew everything was going as per our calculations, but still, it is such a big structure without foundation. It's really dangerous here.
Very true.
So, and on 30th November, if it rains, nowadays climate has gone for toss. We don't know what will happen and when. So we decided promptly to remove the structure on the 8th.
Okay.
So Atul, talking about the repurposing of the materials, metal can be reused. About the flag, what is the plan for the flag to be used, reused, or I know we cannot cut the flag, but can be reused into some smaller mementos and distribute to people?
Actually, the flag it belongs to Khadi Gram Udyog. So the whole point is that this is a monumental flag, and it is given on loan to institutions or who want to display this flag. So for this, for 1 month, it was with Indian Navy. Not 1 month, 15 days it was with Indian Navy. Before that, the same flag was displayed at Hindan Air Force Base in Delhi. Before that, and then last month, it was displayed in Jodhpur by Indian Army. So I don't know. So this flag is rotating and is displayed at many other places. But in all other places, they had simply made a simple platform. On the Air Force runway, they had a simple platform on which they had simply kept this flag. In this case, in Mumbai, it was a special task because they had no place to display the flag. So this is why this is having even more significance. Again, in Jodhpur, Indian Navy put it on a flat platform. And now I don't know who is going to display it again. So this flag keeps on rotating now. We will keep on rotating. If you want in US, we can send it to you.
And maybe I know Yogesh has a question, but maybe you can design a mobile structure which can always go in a container along with the flag too, right? A kind of a cross-selling program to again the students of the flag, not maybe.
Jivat.
To add what
Jivak was saying,
Jivak, if you have seen all those flags which are generally posted in front of airports and stations, I met the guy who stitches them. He's based in Mumbai. His name is the Flag Company, and each flag gets packed in a huge barrel, that big oil barrel, and it weighs more than I think 60 or 70 kilos. And that material is not khadi; it's nylon material.
Okay.
So maybe that was just information. But Atul,
Yeah.
when the site was finalized, were you involved in finalizing the site, or it was like this is the site and you do it?
This is what it is. Fatwa kadla tha, and that was it. You had to bloody do it. Do it
So
on
there
the
was
way.
no option of selecting ki
No, no.
we can move
Selection.
it here, we can move it there, nothing.
No, but there was no place. There was no place in Mumbai. Where can you show? You tell me. Next Navy Day we will put it at that side. There is no place in Colaba to put the flag.
Okay. Interesting.
So just to answer Ravi's question, Yogesh, do you want to ask anything more?
No, please go ahead.
Yeah. So Ravi, just to answer your question about whether publicity was given.
Mhm.
So it was a very excellent publicity according to me, and Atul for that week was like a celebrity. We only were feeling very proud because all local papers carried articles on this. Also, one Marathi daily in Pune also had his interview printed,
Published.
Okay.
published. So in Pune and Mumbai, it was very nicely covered.
Oh,
Just to answer to your question.
wonderful. Thank you. Okay.
And I think, as Bhushan was saying, the Canopy Man, Marvel can do a movie on you now. Iron Man, Hanuman, Canopy Man.
Bridge man of India.
The bridge
Bridge
man,
man,
bridge and
okay.
the canopy man. That's what Bhushan had put it actually. I think again he put
Yeah.
it in the chat
Atul,
also.
what's your next challenge?
Next challenge, I'm doing bridges on the creeks. म्हणजे MSRTC bridges करतोय. So the biggest non-supported span is 240 meters. Revdanda Digi bridge and Revas bridge. So that's they are coming up. It is part of the coastal highway beautification project, something which is there in USA along the west coast. The highway goes from Seattle to Los Angeles. On a similar way, they are putting this highway from Mumbai to Ratnagiri.
Okay.
Ratnagiri till. But I am involved in designing bridges from Mumbai to Jaigad. So in all 6 bridges I am designing, out of which I finished conceptualizing 2. They will be out for tender now. I am working on rest 4 of them. But even that is another challenge. Again, first time, sir, as in from architect's office, bridge designs are coming out. So,
Any more questions, thoughts, additional comments? Anybody? Bhushan?
No, maybe Atul, if you can show his some more design, because he has done some good work in terms of bridges, canopies. Like there are spans of bridges, there's also like a non-supporting canopies. I think
Okay.
maybe he still holds a record. I don't know whether
it's not that. But yeah, there are a couple of structures, but that can happen sometime later. Yeah.
Ravi, I would suggest we should give him another chance to show his work with bamboo.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Actually, I have seen some of the photographs
Okay.
he has shared with me. It's
Absolutely.
really wonderful work in bamboo.
Absolutely.
But
sure.
there is one we are actually doing in Alibag, where we
Yeah.
are putting a water purification plant. So the shade for that particular thing, we have decided to go for. So it's up and ready. So there will be another factory which is coming up, which we are designed in bamboo, which is on the perimeter of a forest. So there I actually told them we will not design it in steel, we will design it in bamboo. So the client was earlier a little skeptical. I said, you will get it at a cost which is bearable for you. So they, for that particular thing, they said, okay, we'll go in for bamboo. So it's a factory, not very big factory, but a factory which is around 3,000 square feet, which is all bamboo. So practical use of bamboo, which is, for me, it is not arts and crafts, it is more of structural in nature.
Okay.
In IDC, it is more towards arts and crafts, but I'm doing it for structures. And also in PVP COA, I can see Professor Shekhar Garud out there. Yes, so we did it for Miraki, and for last 2 years, I have been guiding PVP COA students for the bamboo structures out there.
Just one question I have, Atul.
Yeah.
How are you getting a lot of young designers coming out, get interested in these kind of structures? Maybe I'm unaware. I mean, is there an interest, and are you doing something to attract them into this? Because you see, team itself is pretty small. You're talking about some 7 people, I think. No, the kind of work that you are doing is so vast.
Actually, nowadays, I don't know. My other professors and IDCians will be able to tell me, but this kind of area is a very niche market, because I suppose 90% of people passing from IDC must be going for UX UI, or remaining few go for product design. So 1 or 2 will be. So that's why our design team as such, who are doing on this kind of work, probably they are less in number. Not so. This is the actual statistics.
Correct.
Probably numbers will be wrong a little bit here and there, but that's why so very few people. Only 9 people. That's it.
I know. I mean, it can be very challenging, and certainly, I think.
Yeah. Even during COVID, we had our hands full, because that time we were designing COVID hospitals.
Okay.
We actually put in place 4 COVID hospitals within a span of. Actually, it's not a hospital; it's just another shade. But we were able to give this quick detailings and put things in place. So we did it for Bharamati Agro.
Okay.
So for all their places, manufacturing places, they installed these facilities for quarantine facilities.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So there is a lot of learning out of this. Which sorry, Prajakta, go ahead. She has a question.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask Atul if hi. So how does teaching a structure to architecture students help you in designing?
Yeah, teaching.
How does teaching structure to architecture students? Because you have been teaching for a long time. I've seen you very passionate about it also in MLCA. So how does that work for you in profession?
See, actually, while I'm teaching, I'm learning. So, in fact, I was able to arrive at this particular design solution of cable knit structure because I had prepared a lecture on Fry Auto and how he had developed. So, Fry Auto structures, I was aware because I had learned history of architecture and structures. So, while you teach, you learn more, in fact.
Yeah, I remember Akmankar sir saying that in our lectures all the time that I teach because I teach and so I can learn better. So yeah, that actually applies to me as well whenever we are teaching. Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you, Pradeep.
You have a set of students as guinea pigs in front of you, no? So you do all the learning.
Maybe
These are all grown-up pigs.
Ravi, I have a request. Since Jivak is there after a long time, I have not met him. Maybe he should give a presentation sometime. What kind of work?
I second that. Jivak should talk.
Yes.
We tried this during IDC's 50 years, but it couldn't be managed. But I'm still keen.
I would love to. I would love to, sir. Thank you for that.
Sure, Jivak. I will be in touch with you.
Maybe we can do that.
I will be in touch with you, Jivak.
But personally, I was just trying to say we need to hear Yogesh Dandekar first. He has an amazing body of work, and I am also in the world of mobility design, but he is literally an expert in the world of transit and the train's journey. So apart from my wish list, I think for me it will be nice to hear Yogesh. But let me know, we can work out a time and we can talk about the topics that currently are, I think, more in demand. It might be mobility design. That's my core area right now. I'm more now into innovation strategy rather than just industrial design. So we can talk about that. I think Atwankar sir might be alluding to the fact that I think most of you know, but some of you might not. So after doing masters in industrial design, I came here to Michigan and we went to Michigan State and did my executive MBA also. So my predominant life now is at the intersection of design thinking and business thinking, and trying to make sense of what design has to be. Little bit upfront in the design chain. It's still the creative supply chain, but more into stepping back and trying to see why we are doing it. Right? As designers and engineers and architects and fabricators and bridge or canopy experts, we can design anything. But are these things the right thing to do? And again, making sure you always sit on the passion of what you want to do, what the world needs, especially now in the sustainable world, and then your brand. So if that topic interests, let me know. I can load it up for
yes,
an
I think
hour
it's a good topic. It's a good topic to talk about.
I will connect with you, Jivek.
That will be interesting. Yeah.
I'm in. I will drop my email on the chat and we can take it from over.
Yep.
So but next one has to be a bit
3 minutes off from the schedule closure, and I know Atul, thank you so much. It's a fascinating journey, and thanks for taking your time to share this so beautifully. I'm sure that with all the interest that has come, we will invite you again for a deep dive into bamboo as suggested, and also look at other works of yours. And thanks for everyone for staying up and participating in this session. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Something coming up, and very interesting line of talks that we have. And hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.